Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
8:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. It is October 21st. It's a Monday. Johnny B is here. Joan Jones as well. My name is Dan Mandis indeed. Over the weekend, there was a carjacking in Nashville and a chase that ended in Mount Juliet. That led to the arrest of an 18-year-old guy. His name is Eduardo Melendez-Pineda, and another 15-year-old. Now, this guy is said to be an illegal alien from Honduras. Now, police say, listen to this. He walks up to a car, this SUV, fires a shot in the air and then into the SUV. He orders the people out of the car and carjacks these folks and then drives to Mount Juliet. There's a chase. Eventually, they caught him. Now, his mugshot is what caught my attention. You can find it on my Facebook page. Nick Barris also posted it. And it shows this guy. And he's smirking. And you can tell that that smirk is reminiscent of past mugshots that we've seen where it is clear that these guys just don't care. They're smiling and they're smirking, and really what they're doing is they're rubbing salt into the wounds of the victims. It's like they just don't care that they're here illegally, of course, and they're getting away with not only that, but also with breaking our laws. Not only is this guy illegal, but he's also incredibly violent, and he's been in trouble before. Back in November of 2022, a 13-year-old girl named Aaliyah Ingram was hit and killed by a vehicle, dragged down the street, and left to die in 19-degree weather. The same guy, Eduardo Melendez-Pineda, is charged in that crime as well. The mother of Aaliyah, that 13-year-old tragically killed that night back in 2022, is on the phone with us now. Her name is Natalie Chastain. And Natalie, thank you for being with us. I know this is terribly difficult to talk about. What happened 3 days before Thanksgiving back in 2022?
Really, it was just very not normal. Of the situation that happened was really not normal with my daughter. One of her friends asked her to come out of the house at nighttime, which was a girl. And my daughter came out, got in the car, and they left. They were, I guess, supposed to be riding around. She wasn't supposed to have left my house. Well, I wake up the next morning. This is after I've gone to bed. Wake up the next morning, my daughter's not here. Well, frantically, I start searching, and I have all logins to her phone, her social media, things of that nature. And I come across a conversation between one of her and another girl where it showed that she was coming to pick my daughter up. Well, apparently Eduardo was a driver of a vehicle that night, and that car was stolen. Somehow, I do not have the full story because no one has told the truth this whole time, so I really cannot explain to you how my daughter actually died. I just have what the police are trying to piece together to tell me. My daughter was ran over with a stolen car, which the car that she was hit with hit a house. Eduardo tried to pull her out from underneath the car. She was not inside. Obviously, she was outside the vehicle. He was driving. She was stuck underneath the car, so he pulled her as hard as he could, and it dislocated her shoulders. Drug her down a street about a third of a mile, and on the right-hand side of the road, it's a hill that has a creek in it. He decided to drag her and lay her in a creek, but he had pulled her so hard that she came out of her clothes, her shirt, and her jacket that she had on. So she was laying out there with just pants on in water in 18 degrees. So the people of the house that stolen car hit called 911 and stated that they saw someone dragging someone away. down the street. Well, the police showed up 10 minutes after that call was made. My daughter's still laying on the side of the road. The police passed her on the way up. They did talk to the people at the house, did their report, towed that car away. My daughter was still laying outside. 3 hours later, somehow my daughter was able to get herself out of the creek and crawl down the hill to the next closest house there was. So she knocked on the door and laid down on the porch after realizing that nobody was going to answer the door for her. She laid down and ultimately died. Now, her injuries, she had a broken nose, 2 broken collarbones. Her shoulder blades were broken. Shoulders were dislocated. All her ribs were broken. Her hip was broken in 3 different places. And that's just those wounds. She had an extreme mental status where she wasn't coherent. She was moving her arms and legs but unable to open her eyes or talk when the paramedics arrived. Well, later on, it took some time, some months before they started piecing together who it was. Well, the first person that came to light, that you can also find this online, was Cesar Martinez.
Yep.
He is a 15-year-old that was involved as well, but he was arrested first. Well, it came out that between him and Eduardo, they are blaming each other for driving that car. So I don't know who was driving. They're not saying how she was ran over, but she was ran over, and they just failed to get her help.
Let me ask you, Natalie. I know this is extraordinarily painful for you to speak about. When Eduardo Melendez-Pineda was brought to court, he was charged as an adult for homicide. Yeah. What did he have to say for himself in court?
So, yes, in August, he was brought in to be charged as an adult. When he came into court, he told the DA he wanted to apologize to my family. Well, that apology was, "I'm sorry, but it ain't my fault." Well, whose fault was it?
Wow.
And I found out that after the fact, in August, that when he would be tried as an adult, because it was his first crime as an adult, that he would be eligible for probation. Well, and that's exactly what they gave him. That last court date, they released him on 3 years probation for criminally negligent homicide for killing my daughter.
So he killed your daughter.
Yes.
And he is charged with homicide, but he got probation and 3 years of probation, and that's it? Like, it's over?
Yeah, 3 years. We had to get him to agree to 3 years, though, because they were only trying to offer him 2 years for probation. And just in general, probation should have never been in the cards for this.
Yeah.
This is a slap in the face for him to be able to come back out here and commit another crime that could have possibly killed someone. He shot in the vicinity of these people.
I've got to ask, Natalie, number one, who told you that he was illegal?
The DA.
So the DA or the DA's, was it Glenn Funk or was it just the DA's office?
The DA's office in Juvenile. It was Lindsay Moreland.
And so they told you that he is an illegal from Honduras and he was charged with homicide and the death of your daughter. They gave him probation for 3 years. And lo and behold, I don't know when you saw the mugshot, but over the weekend, I shared it. Some others shared it as well. It must have been quite a shock when you saw his smirking face, like he just didn't have a care in the world, and he knew that he was going to beat this, just like he beat the charges in the death of your daughter.
Yeah, he smiled in almost every court date except for this last one where he needed to seem like he was sad. He even pulled tears in that courtroom, and I don't understand how he did that. But to this day, no one involved got to actually hear all of the injuries my daughter got from this because they gave him a plea deal.
Do you feel like
so they have no idea?
Do you feel like the DA's office? Do you feel like they did right by your daughter?
No, of course not.
No.
If the shoe was on the other foot, nobody would be okay with probation.
Right.
Nobody. Probation for killing your child. Nonetheless, that's my only child. I don't. Literally. Right. And then I've been ignored by the DA's office after the case was closed. I can't get any records of her investigation. So it's been a time. And then to see his face go across Facebook.
Yep.
I told them that he was going to do something. It was a matter of time. Today is 2 months that he's been out. Today.
So you told the DA's office, you told Lindsay Moreland at the DA that he would be back in jail and he would be out committing more crimes, and they just ignored you?
Oh, she even said it herself that he would be back out. He would be locked back up here soon for something he's done, just based off of the things that he has done. I've got to ask this question. I mean, you got an illegal. He's from Honduras, and he was charged as an adult in the death of your daughter. Mm-hmm. What happened to immigration? I mean, did they not have any kind of interest in this case? Well, apparently they did. They did have an interest in the case because we kept having to postpone the last court date because they were needing to make sure Eduardo understood the consequences of immigration because they were already looking for him because of this situation. I was even told that immigration would be picking him up once he was signed over into the adult system. That never happened because here we are.
So I wonder if somebody dropped the ball. They were supposed to pick him up and they didn't, or they were just, providing you with some lip service, or somebody there was a mistake. The bottom line, though, is that somebody could have been killed here over the weekend with this. He clearly doesn't care. I mean, this dude is just shooting off bullets in the air. He's shooting off his gun into an SUV with a couple of people inside as he's carjacking. And I mean, I wish I could say that I was surprised, but knowing what I know about, the DA's office, this doesn't really surprise me. So they're giving you the runaround. The DA's office is giving you a runaround. They wouldn't even tell you the details of what happened that fateful night or where the investigation lies?
I only get the details that they would like for me to know, if that makes any type of sense.
Oh, it does.
I can ask the same question over and over, and they give me the same answer.
Do you have an idea as to why they wouldn't want to give you all the details?
No clue, unless they had just some negligence on their behalf that they don't want to get into. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, Natalie, I really appreciate you giving us your perspective on this, and I just can imagine the shock when you saw his his smirk on Facebook. And I'm going to reach out to the DA's office. Not that they listen to me much, but I'm going to reach out to the DA's office and see if I can try to help you get some answers. And from me to you and the thousands of people listening, man, our hearts go out to you, and we're praying for you and your family. And if I can help in any way, I'm going to try to help at the DA's office. You just let us know, okay?
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All righty, and appreciate you. It's 8:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So a couple of things. Number one is you've got a mom here whose daughter was killed, and an illegal alien from Honduras was charged. And he was charged as an adult, and they gave him probation 3 years. And so he's not facing literally any consequences for his involvement in the death of Aaliyah Ingram. Like, not any ramifications whatsoever. And his ass got to stay in this country.
And that's why he's smirking.
Because he got away with it. And then I would have to ask the DA, Glenn Funk, who I know darn right well, They listen to WTN because every time we say his name and we say it in a negative way, then we get a call from his office. So, cause what they do is they like record the radio station, and every time his name comes up, they call us. So Glenn Funk owes us an explanation. So why don't y'all at the DA's office give us a call here at WTN and let us know why the hell this guy, number one, was still in the country, and number two, how could you let this monster out on parole? How could you do that? Or probation? How could you do that?
And it's been going on way too long. And in fact, just this morning, we've had over 1,700 illegal crossings just this morning.
And here's the thing. It isn't just the illegal aliens. I mean, we see this happening in cities, including here in Nashville and Memphis all the time, where these criminals do these things. And they get away with it, and they don't send them to jail. It's the same soft on crime policies that we see over and over and over again. And it is so infuriating. I can't imagine what Natalie's weekend was like when she goes on Facebook and she sees that smirking face of the guy that was charged in the death of her daughter, who didn't spend any time in jail. It's sad. And I wish I could say that I was stunned. So I would love to know from the DA's office. Maybe they'll call me back. You guys have my phone number. You've called it enough times, and let me know what your side of the story is, and why is it that Natalie can't get the details on exactly what happened that horrific night? She deserves to know. And if maybe they're trying to cover something up, I have no idea. I don't know. But man, my heart just breaks for Natalie and all the people that are out there who go through this, whose loved ones are killed by criminals, illegal aliens or otherwise, and they don't get justice. They don't get justice. And then some innocent people in Nashville get carjacked by the same guy who's shooting his gun inside the SUV and threatening people. I mean, let me ask you this from the DA's office. Who's looking out for the good guys? Who's looking out for Natalie Chastain? Who's looking out for the future victims of these guys who come over here, they break our immigration laws, and then they commit crime after crime after crime until somebody gets killed? Oh, well, look, and then somebody gets killed and they still get out. It's horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. And again, I got to make sure that I say this because it is true. It's not just the illegals. It's all these soft on crime policies, people that live here, people that come here from other countries. It is horrifying. And it just seems like there's nobody looking out for people like Natalie and people like the folks that were carjacked, future victims of these bad guys. We see it over and over again.